Hello, folks. My name is Kent Hovind. It is August the 13th, 2018. I have on the phone with me Jerome, who wanted to have a debate on the creation evolution topic. If I recall, Jerome, you wouldn't give your last name. Is that correct?
Yep, and I still won't.
And you still won't. Okay, well, my name is Kent Hovind. I live at 488 Pearl Lane, Lenox, Alabama, and I got nothing to be ashamed of about that. And you can call me, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3, and I'll answer the phone. Anyway, so Jerome, you have we've gone back and forth quite a few times on this. You insist on having this debate being on lies that creationists tell. And
well, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, but yeah.
Okay. And then I said one of my rules has always been just simply one topic at a time. And you said you want to include 5 debates or 5 lies as one topic. Well, I'm sorry, I have to disagree. Just do them one at a time. Let me answer one at a time.
No, whoa. You said you agreed to this.
We can go all day. Just go ahead and talk, Jerome.
Ken, I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll try to rush. I'll try to rush through my 10 minutes so I can give you my remaining time. So you have as much time as you want.
Take 10 minutes on each one of the 5.
Hold on a second. You go through one of them at a time.
Correct.
And then if you run out of time, then just don't do the last ones. But I want you to do them one by one in order, the same order that I named them.
That's correct. So you mentioned them one by one. You can have all the time you want, but one at a time, please. What's your first lie that you think creationists tell? And then stop.
Oh, you want to go straight to that? Okay.
And then stop and let
I was going to do the intro, but
okay,
yeah, that's fine.
Go ahead, do the intro. Tell what you believe.
No, actually, it works better this way. That way we have more time.
Okay.
So you can have 20 minutes instead of just 10.
Forget the time. We'll do another debate next time. We can just shut it off in the middle after an hour and do the next one. So go ahead. What's the first lie you think creationists tell?
All right. So the first topic I plan on discussing is the many lies and inconsistencies you've told over the years. You once said that you don't mind evolution being taught in the classrooms just as long as it's not supported by lies. Well, I feel the same way about you disproving evolution. I don't mind if you try to dispute evolution as long as you don't use lies to do it.
I agree.
All right. Lie number 1. Evolution is a religion. This one's my personal favorite because no matter how many times you're corrected on it, you still keep saying it. This is just an attempt to get evolution out of the public schools, which aren't allowed to teach religion. It's also to create a false equivalence between evolution and creationism. It makes it seem like a comparison between 2 religions instead of what it actually is, which is a comparison between a religiously neutral scientific theory backed by mountains of evidence, evolution, and a religiously based pseudoscientific theory that has virtually no evidence, creationism. Your main reason for calling it a religion is that it requires belief. Now, let's explore that meaning. Not every belief is classified as a religion. People believe in a lot of things. They believe in the tooth fairy, they believe in Bigfoot, they believe in aliens. None of these are classified as religions because they don't cover the creation of the universe and the meaning of life, and neither does evolution. Now again, I mentioned this in the first debate, and I'll mention it again. When I'm talking about evolution, I'm only talking about macro and microevolution. I'm not talking about Big Bang. I'm not talking about abiogenesis. Just the last 2 definitions of evolution, not the first 4. Anyway, where was I? Evolution only covers how living things change from one form to another. It doesn't say how life started or why. It could have been random chance. It could have been a god. It could have been Allah or Krishna. It could have been Zeus. It could have been anyone. Evolution doesn't know or care. It's religiously neutral. You also say that in evolution, time and chance are gods. I looked up the definition of God, and it says it's an all-powerful being who controls the universe. Time is not a being. It doesn't have a consciousness. You don't talk to time. You don't pray to time and ask it to help your sick grandmother. In that case, time would just be the enemy. It's not all powerful. Now, I know that maybe not all religions, gods in all religion aren't all powerful, but it is the case most of the time. All evolutions have said is that certain things happen in a certain amount of time. At no point did they say that anything can happen given enough time. Now, this may be what misconceptions of evolution, especially in science fiction, have said, such as, X-Men or the Tomorrow People, but real evolutionists never said this. So to summarize, evolution is not a religion because it doesn't cover the meaning of life or the origin of the universe. Time is not a god because it's not a conscious being who you communicate with, and it's not all-powerful. During your rebuttal, I want you to either admit that you've been misrepresenting evolution by calling it a religion, or provide a definition of religion and explain how it encompasses evolution. My prediction is that you'll do neither. I also predict that you'll still be calling it a religion long after this. That's lie number one.
Hold it, stop right there then. I'm going to answer lie number one. You got your paper, obviously you're reading what you have written out. I disagree. Evolution is a belief system. Nobody's ever seen any animal produce a different kind of animal. It does meet the definitions of religion. It's based on belief, not science. There is no scientific evidence at all that a dog and a pine tree are related. That is indeed what you believe. You said that, so that would not be a lie on my part. It's perfectly correct to call evolution a religious belief. You're the one, and the purpose is not to get it so they can't teach it in schools. Public schools can teach religion. It's never been a problem. There have been 2 states, Arkansas and Louisiana, that passed laws to require that creation be taught, and the court struck it down and said, no, you cannot require that. They have never said you cannot teach creation. They have never said you cannot teach religion in public schools. You are mistaken. Public schools are allowed to. Now, they typically don't because they're afraid of a lawsuit from the American Communist Lawyers Union, the ACLU, but so it is not correct that that's the purpose of this. I call evolution a religion because it's a religion, not because I'm trying to get it out of school. So you have nothing to fear. That's not the reason for that. I think evolution is a religion. It's something you have to believe in. What happens is you're taking little bits of scientific evidence, like dogs and wolves being related, which is demonstrable, and then extrapolating it by great faith. You're still breathing into the phone. Extrapolating that by great faith into believing that dogs and pine trees are related. And I just have to disagree. Let's see. Religion is defined as a cultural system or designated behavior and practice, worldview, texts, sanctified places, prophecies, ethics, organization. This is from Wikipedia. That relate humanity to supernatural, transcendental, or spiritual elements. I think you have a great belief that matter and time and chance can accomplish the things. If you believe dogs and pine trees are related, if you try to explain why, I promise you're going to have to make the mistake of saying, well, given enough time. Time is indeed the God that you think can do anything. We've never seen a dog produce a non-dog, but you think with enough time, a dog and a pine tree can be traced back to a common ancestor. So that is a belief system. So let's see, what did I cover everything? You said evolution doesn't cover the meaning of life. Well, you may be correct on that one, but I think there is. Anna, can you quiet that down? The meaning of life, if evolution is true, there really is no meaning to life. The strongest survive. I don't know, what is the meaning to life and where do you get that? So I'll stick with and yes, you're probably right. I'm going to continue calling it a religion, probably more so now that you brought it up. I'll define the terms a little more carefully, but yes, you can believe in that if you'd like. But it's not a lie that I'm teaching. It is correct, and millions agree with me that evolution should be classified as a religious belief. So if that's your lie number one, that's all I have to say on that one. Okay, number 2.
Kent.
Yes.
You haven't answered the question.
Okay, let's hear the question again.
Kent.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I heard your definition. The word supernatural was mentioned there. You didn't say anything about, what part of evolution is supernatural.
It's above nature to think that a dog and a pine tree are related. All nature shows
that is not supernatural.
Super means above, supernatural. It is supernatural to think any animal can do something over time that we cannot see it do in time. Farmers all over the world crossbreed chickens and they get chickens. Nobody ever gets the chicken to be anything other than a chicken. So it is.
All right, Kent, great. Hold on a second. Nature. Okay, I know I promised I wouldn't interrupt, but how many sentences are you allowed to say before I interject? Because you're just repeating the same things that you've said over and over again, and you're just eating up all the time doing it.
No, forget the time. We'll do 100 debates if we have to. But no.
So can I interject?
Sure. But
that's not the definition of supernatural.
What are you worried about a definition for? It's common sense that nobody ever sees a chicken produce a non-chicken.
Definitions. We're talking about definitions. Saying something is beyond belief, saying something is hard to believe doesn't make it supernatural. That is not supernatural. Supernatural means it exists outside of the natural world. You didn't prove that evolution says that anything exists outside of the natural world.
Okay, now hold on. I don't know if I'm about proving anything, but nobody has...
I said provide a definition. You gave a definition and it doesn't encompass evolution.
Okay, no farmer has ever seen a chicken produce a non-chicken, and yet you believe they did over lengths of time. You think a chicken came from a rock, for heaven's sake.
Kent,
Yes.
that is not the definition of supernatural.
Okay, forget the
It may be
definition.
hard to believe. It may be hard to believe, but it's not supernatural.
It's impossible for me to believe. So you're
For
saying...
example, if I go back to your example with the cow jumping over the moon.
Okay.
That's hard to believe. It's impossible, but it's not supernatural, though. It is not supernatural.
If a cow-
Supernatural would be like ghosts or fairies. Those are supernatural.
Okay, so your objection...
Bigfoot, aliens, those are not supernatural. And no, I'm not changing the definition. That's the actual definition of supernatural.
Okay, so you're objecting to my use of the word supernatural because of your understanding of that word. You don't think I should use that to describe evolution?
No, I'm saying get a definition that encompasses evolution. The one you gave does not encompass evolution.
Okay, forget the dictionary and the definitions just for a minute. My point would be, science deals with things we observe, study, test, demonstrate. Evolution does not fall into the category of science. Give it some other name then, but it's not science, that's for sure.
You can call it something other than a religion then, but you probably won't. You'll probably still call it a religion, even though I proved, based on the definition of religion, it does not encompass evolution at all.
Okay. I don't know that you prove such a thing, but your one point is you object to me calling evolution a religion.
So do you admit that you were wrong or mistaken?
I did not admit I was wrong. I am not mistaken.
Oh, well, then prove it. We're not going to go to the next point until you prove it.
Okay. Evolution is a religion. It's something you take on faith. It is a belief system. And many people have religions. I admire your faith. You have great faith. You believe a rock can turn into a pine tree over billions of years. That's incredible. I don't have that much faith, but you do. So I'm not again.
You still haven't proven that evolution is a religion. You believe it's a religion, but you haven't proven that it is based on an actual definition.
Well, first place, Jerome, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I'm not using tax dollars to pay for my religion to be taught.
Oh, we're on that again. Okay.
It's the truth, and you're not getting it. You don't get it.
Hold on, Kent.
Okay.
You still have to answer the question. Either prove that it's a religion or admit that you've been misrepresenting it this whole time.
That is not the only two options.
Yes, those are the only two options. Prove you're right or admit you're wrong. Those are your only two options, and you haven't proven you're right so far.
Those are not the only two options. You're giving a
Then what is the other option?
It's a false dichotomy.
Okay, then what? Okay, go ahead.
Some things cannot be proven. Can you prove that if you drill down 10,000 feet in the planet Jupiter, it's made out of whatever gas or something? Well, no, it's not possible to go prove that right now. You can believe that.
I understand that. But the burden of proof is on you because you claimed it's a religion, so prove it's a religion.
I don't have a burden of proof at all. I can.
Yes, you do, Kent. You do. You claimed it's a religion. The person making the claim has the burden of proof. Ask any lawyer.
I am not asking for anybody to pay for me. I could claim Mickey Mouse made the universe. I'm not asking you.
So you're saying you can claim anything you want and you don't have burden of proof?
Anybody, you're claiming things you want. You're claiming we all came from a rock.
Hold on a second. I'll get to that.
Okay.
But you're claiming evolution is a religion.
It is.
And you have not proven it.
I don't think it's possible to prove some things. I think most people with common sense would say evolution has to be taken on faith.
Okay, so I just want to say something to the people who will be listening to this.
If anybody listens
You guys are listening to Kent Hovind blatantly lie about something. I already proved that he can't prove that evolution is a religion, and he still insists on calling it that. And he still insists on saying that he should be allowed to say it without burden of proof, even though he claimed it. Are you guys seriously still going to believe everything he says?
Well, I don't care if they believe everything or anything I say. I just teach what I think is the truth. I think it's pretty obvious to anybody with one eye and half a brain that evolution has to be taken on faith. Got a couple of
Okay, this topic took too much time. Let's go to the next one now.
No, Emily Durkheim. I'm not sure who that is, Nick.
From Wikipedia.
This is from Wikipedia. She defined a meal defined religion as a unified system of beliefs and practices related to sacred things. That is to say, things set apart and forbidden, beliefs and practices. Yeah, Wikipedia's got quite a long, interesting definition, different people quoting on what religion is. Yes, I think evolution certainly fits into the category of a religious belief system, and I'm not saying that to use that as a political tool to get evolution out of school.
Ken, again, that definition doesn't encompass religion.
Okay, now, I do think
It
evolution
says practices that are based on something sacred. No evolutionist holds anything sacred.
Okay.
But again, we've eaten up too much time on this one subject. I'm just gonna go on to the next one. If you want to continue to lie, that's up to you.
No, I'm not lying. I think you're lying by claiming it's not a religion.
Okay, Ken.
Go ahead.
Okay. Line number 2. Evolution has a higher burden of proof because it's tax supported. This is wrong. Whether or not something is tax supported is irrelevant in a debate. We don't work for the school board, Ken. We will not affect anything that happens in the school system. If you claim something is more scientifically accurate than something else, you have to compare them using the same scientific standards. Go ahead.
Okay, the school system is all supported by tax dollars based on property taxes, not any other kind that I'm aware of. So all the people in a community have to pay via taxes on their house to support a school system, and they can decide what they want taught and what they don't want taught. If suppose somebody wanted in your community to teach that Mickey Mouse is the creator of the universe, well, then the burden of proof would be on them to demonstrate that.
Sorry, we're eating up all the time, and you're just
I told you.
Saying the same.
Forget the time. Forget the time.
Okay, so I can talk now?
We'll go 1 hour today, and we'll do an hour next time, and an hour next time, until you finally get it. Maybe you won't.
Okay,
the listeners will get it. Go ahead.
Again, we're not talking about the school system. We're just talking about what's going on in this debate. And if you claim that creationism is backed by more scientific evidence than evolution, then you have to compare them using the same scientific standards.
Sure.
You can't compare evolution under higher standards than creation. It's not fair. And then you're going to turn around and complain and claim that creationism has more evidence when you're not using the same standards for both of them.
Well, now hold it. You are the one who brought up your point number 2, that evolution has a higher burden of proof because it's in tax-supported schools.
That is what you said. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, I'm answering your question. You're claiming that I say evolution has a higher burden of proof because it is in tax-supported schools. That is exactly correct. You are demanding...
In the tax-supported schools, yes, but not in this debate.
Okay.
I don't work for the school board, Kent. Okay. And personally, I don't care if they take evolution out. I don't care if my kids never learn about it.
Okay.
I personally don't.
Well, then
we're just talking about what's going on in this debate.
Well, then I don't understand your complaint. I'm not lying then to say that it is true. If evolutionists want their religion taught in schools, they need to prove it.
But do you believe that the higher burden of proof is on me in this debate?
No, I don't care what you believe in this debate. You can say anything you want.
Okay. So I can say anything I want. Okay, so then we can move on to the next topic.
Oh, but your question was about the public schools, and so I'm answering.
It was not about the public schools. Okay. I just said I was differentiating it. I was saying this is not about the public schools.
All right, number 3.
So if that's what you're going to say, we can move on.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
All right, line number 3. Evolutionists believe we came from a rock. Now, this may or may not be a lie, depending on what you're telling people. If you're telling people that you believe that evolutionists believe that rocks are alive and gave birth to us, that's most certainly a lie. Nobody's ever said that. And I think that is what you're saying, because I watched one of your seminars before, and I think you said something to the effect of great-great-great-great-great-grandpa is a rock. And then you made another video saying, what is that? You put like rocks in water, and then you made a joke about seeing if the rocks will ever grow legs and walk around.
Sure.
That sounds to me like you're saying that evolutionists believe that rocks are alive and gave birth to us. Is that what you're saying? If
no.
Prove it.
Nova just did a very extensive video. I watched it a couple days ago. I forget the name of it now. How the Origin of Life or something from Nova, showing the 6 different stages of the Earth. Yes, according to your theory, the Earth was a hot molten mass. I'm trying to call up the slides, multitask here at the same time. Seminar, WOE series, Africa. Here, that'll work. The Earth cooled down and developed a hard rocky mass, and like Darwin said, in some warm little pond, all these minerals got together and somehow sparked into the amino acids, which then became life. So ultimately, you're caught in the trap. You have to say You believe all life came from this first life form, which came from something non-living. At somewhere down the line, it was non-living, and now it's living. And it came from a rock. I've got.
At what point did they say something was non-living and is now living?
Well, that's a good question for you to answer.
Well,
how did life? You said you didn't want to talk about life.
Well, the materials from the rocks are non-living, and they're part of living things, but that doesn't mean that they themselves are living things.
Okay, 154.
Is water a living thing?
No.
Is water? But there's water in your body, though, right?
Well, here's Paul Davies, scientist in New Scientist magazine, a quote that I've used for 15 years. He said, "Nobody knows how a mixture of lifeless chemicals spontaneously organize themselves into the first living cell." Here's Wikipedia just a couple months ago. This is a year ago. I'm sure it's the same now. Primordial soup is a term introduced by the Soviet biologist Alexander Oparin in 1924. He proposed the theory that the origin of life on Earth through transformation during the gradual chemical evolution of particles that contain carbon in the primordial soup.
All right, I've let you talk enough. There's no point where they're saying that something came alive. There's nothing saying that rocks are alive and gave birth to us.
Are you alive?
That they're a self-replicating life form.
Jerome, are you alive?
Yes.
And did you come from something that was alive?
Yes.
Like your parents? Did they come from something that was... Okay, let's go back and back and back. Ultimately, you're going to get to a single-celled creature which came out of the soup. This is... I got quotes from...
It does not say the soup was alive, though. It doesn't say the rocks were alive.
No, the
You're
rocks
trying to
are
make
not
it
alive.
sound like that's what they're saying. That's not what they're saying, though.
And that's not what I'm saying either. The
It is what you're saying. You just said great-great-great-great-grandpa is a rock.
That's what you
What does that mean?
Ultimately, you believe your ancestors came out of the soup, which is from the minerals, which came from the rocks.
Okay, if I say our ancestors came out of the soup, yeah, they are saying that. But they're not saying that the rocks are alive, though. I want you to correct that. I want you to admit you lied about that. Or at least were mistaken.
I have never said the rocks were alive. I have never lied
Then
about the rocks.
why say great-great-great-grandpa is a rock? And why the video with the rocks in the water and the jokes?
It's a joke to make you realize how stupid this religion of evolution is.
Okay, but you're misleading people. You're misleading, especially
people.
young children,
Yeah.
into thinking that evolutionists believe that rocks are alive. It may not necessarily be what you believe, but by making these jokes, little children might take it seriously.
I think little children might take you guys seriously, that we all have a common ancestor which came from soup. I'm afraid they're going to take that. I'm afraid they're going to take you guys seriously, that dinosaurs lived millions of years ago and the Earth is billions of years old when it's not.
I hope they do, because that's the truth.
That's not the truth. I'm worried they're going to take you seriously. So I'm going to keep fighting on that one. But no, I've got 50 quotes here from people who say, yes, we did come from primordial soup. Here we go. This is from Berkeley University. Life on Earth first bloomed 3.7 billion years ago.
Kent, you're just wasting time right now. We already covered. It doesn't say the rocks were alive. So if you're saying that's not what you're saying, then we'll just move on to the next topic.
I've never said the rocks were alive. I've said you believe.
But you have misled people into thinking that. You have to at least admit that.
I have said you believe we came from rocks.
Yes, but the way you present it makes it seem like that we believe that rocks are alive.
Oh, I'm sorry if you mistook it for that. You need to watch my videos one more time. I've never said that. I do believe, and I can show you. And
okay, Ken, can we just move on to the next topic, because we're eating up a lot of time here.
We got plenty of time. You believe your ancestor came from soup, which came from melted rocks in the pond. Yes, you do believe that. If that embarrasses you, it ought to. Go change your belief system. It's not complicated.
Can we move on now?
Okay, sure.
All right, line number 4. The second law of thermodynamics disproves evolution. Now, as someone who studied the second law of thermodynamics, I have no clue how it even applies to evolutionary biology. Just to summarize, though, I'll explain the law as I understand it. Energy doesn't get more concentrated over time. It dissipates and reaches equilibrium. Once this happens, it can no longer be useful because things in equilibrium don't move, and energy has to move for it to be useful. This applies to a closed system like the universe, not to an open system like the Earth. The Earth constantly gets new energy from the sun, which, when living organisms use it, it dissipates and reaches equilibrium and is no longer in a useful form. That's why we need the sun to continue giving us new concentrated energy. You also said that the law dictates that systems break down over time and don't get more complex. This is what you need to take note of. In evolution, nothing really gets more complex. The systems are not the whole organisms, but rather the individual cells that compose them. As I mentioned in our first debate, multicellular organisms, or eukaryotes, are nothing more than colonies that are composed of individual living cells. It's the cells, not the organisms, that are the systems. And cells have never been getting more complicated. No cell in your body is more complex than bacteria. All right, your turn.
Okay. You said the second law of thermodynamics. I'm misrepresenting that. You actually used the word lie. Let me explain to you, since your degree is in engineering, if I understand, and you understand about the second law. The universe is a closed system. The sun adding energy to the earth, that's correct, and that's what drives all the photosynthesis process and drives all of life on earth. But adding energy is not going to help. The universe is a closed system. Now, our solar system, with the earth receiving energy from the sun, in that case, earth would be what we call an open system. It is getting new energy. However, without chlorophyll, one of the most complex molecules you can imagine, to use that energy, or chloroplasts, which I covered just the other night on my YouTube channel, Kent Hovind Official. So I think you're mistaken by microcosming here and saying the Earth receives energy from the sun, which is true. But the universe itself is a closed system. Where did the sun get this initial energy? And the universe itself.
What did I say? I'm not here to discuss Big Bang or abiogenesis. I'm just here to discuss macro and microevolution.
Jerome,
I don't know where the sun got its energy from.
Jerome, you accuse me of lying about the second law. I'm pointing out that I did not lie about the second law. The universe is a closed system. Adding energy is destructive unless there's a mechanism to use the energy. Blow a tornado through your house, it'll add all kinds of energy and it won't organize anything. It has to be directed with some kind of mechanism. And so that's my point. Even the sun's energy that is added to the earth is destructive to everything except chlorophyll. Chlorophyll harnesses that energy, uses it, makes food. Animals eat the plants. We come along and eat the plants or the animals. Our whole system of life here is driven because we get energy from the sun. I understand that. But the sun is a closed system. B, the universe is a closed system. The earth is open, only receiving energy from the sun, but that energy is destructive unless there's something to harness it and use it. You can pour 20 gallons of gasoline on top of your car and set it on fire.
Okay, can I talk now?
Well, I didn't lie.
I already heard your examples.
You accused me of lying, and I didn't lie, Jerome.
Hold on. Okay, so this one may not have been a lie. It may have just been a mistake on your part.
It wasn't a mistake either. It's a mistake on your part. You're the one not getting it.
Let me say something.
Okay.
So it sounds to me like your question regarding evolution and the second law is, where did chlorophyll come from?
That's part of the question. But
that's not contradicting it. Nothing's getting more complex, though. What's getting more complex exactly?
Well, chlorophyll is incredibly complex. Plants are incredibly complex. It's not just a colony.
Right, but you said it's getting more complex. What is getting more complex according to evolution?
According to evolution, is a whale more complex than an amoeba?
No.
It's not.
And I just explained that to you.
So you explained it.
Any individual cell in that whale's body is not more complex than an amoeba. The whale itself is just a colony of cells. The cells themselves have not gotten more complex.
Now, the whale, you need to understand the word colony versus organism, or organ. The whale is not a colony of cells, neither are you. You are a very complex system of probably 100 trillion cells that are all working together in harmony. And it's not just a colony. Bacteria get together in colonies and accomplish certain things. But that's very different than an organ.
I explained this in the first debate.
You explained it? No, you stated something.
Cells have individual functions, so they can't live on their own anymore. But it's still a colony. They never changed.
So a whale, let me see if I got your quote here straight. A whale is not more complex than an amoeba.
No individual cell in the whale's body is more complex than an amoeba.
But together, would the total whale be more complex than an amoeba? Forget the cells.
But the whale is not the system. The cells are the systems. A whale is just the systems working together.
And what about a pod of whales that all swim together to accomplish a goal, like surrounding the seals to eat them? Is the pod, which is all individual whales, working in harmony?
A pod of whales. Are you listening to yourself? You would have to thoroughly describe what this is before I can even answer your question.
Well, a gaggle of geese, a pride of lions, a pod of whales, a herd of elephants.
If one of them is separated, will it die automatically?
No, but they are working together.
They're not the same, are they?
Bingo, you're getting it, finally. Okay, so
It's still a colony, though.
So
You're
a
not
pot
getting
of
it. The
whales is a
systems are
colony.
the individual cells, and
So you're saying,
it's the cells. The cells have not been getting more complex. So therefore, evolution doesn't violate the second law of thermodynamics.
oh, but these cells are constantly wearing out. I mean, you replace millions of cells a minute in your body. They wear out. You got a whole.
The cells self-replicate, same way bacteria do.
Oh, all the
Blood
cells.
cells make new blood cells. Skin cells make new skin cells.
Isn't that amazing? Don't you want to just praise God for designing
So it
that?
works the same way speciation does. If you think about it.
Oh boy, I think.
Once something speciates, once cats speciate into lions and tigers, from this point forward, lions will only produce lions and tigers will only produce tigers.
But
Same
if you
thing.
go,
Blood cells can only produce blood cells, and
I
skin
agree.
cells can only produce skin cells.
but if we could wind the clock backwards, do you think lions and pine trees are related?
Kent, are we back on this?
You won't
Are
admit
we
it.
seriously back on
Yeah,
this?
we need.
Yes, they are related.
Okay.
They're eukaryotes.
Oh, how about whales and bowling balls? Since they're both affected by gravity, they got to be related.
Kent, you're using straw man arguments, and you're diverting from the topic.
Okay, your topic was, you said I lied about the second law. I don't think I did.
Again, it's not necessarily lie. You could have just been mistaken.
Neither
I
one.
want you to admit that you were either
There's-
lying or mistaken.
There's another choice. You are mistaken. Choice number 3. You are mistaken. Don't you're giving it two. It's called a false
I'm not.
dichotomy.
Things aren't getting more complex. The
There-
cells aren't getting more complex.
So going from an amoeba to a whale is not getting any more complex. That's
The
your
individual
position.
cells are not getting more complex. No, they're not.
Is the
The
organism
entire
getting
system.
more complex? Is
The
a whale?
organism is, but the organism is not a system. The
Okay.
cells are the systems.
Okay, I think you need to get a little better understanding of what organisms are and what science is, but go ahead. I did not lie about that. Second law applies. Even the whales are always breaking down. They're always having to replace cells, always having to add new
And here's
energy.
the thing, Ken. Here's the thing. They're still open systems, though. A whale is still an open system. So even if you argue that it's getting more complex, it still doesn't violate the second law because it's not a closed system.
Right. Well, no, you're right. The second law is nobody ever violates the second law. It's a law.
Yeah.
The Earth itself is winding down. All systems are slowing down. We're slowly polluting. We're polluting the planet.
An organism getting more complex. How does that violate the second law of thermodynamics?
It only gets more complex in one. Like I can organize one corner of the room because I added intelligent energy. Adding energy is not helpful. Adding energy that's directed properly is helpful. The sun has to add energy, but it's going to
That's not what the second law of thermodynamics is talking about. It's not talking about how you're going to use the energy. It's talking about how the energy doesn't get more concentrated, how it dissipates. Right? In a closed system. So show me how anything in evolution is saying that something in a closed system is getting more complex.
Well, in a closed system, everything is gradually winding down. The second law says everything tends toward disorder. That's exactly what we see. But yeah, you believe all this
In a
incredible.
closed system, Kent,
You believe all this order.
organisms are not closed systems.
You believe all this order on planet Earth, this forest I'm looking at, these people I'm looking at. You believe they came by simply adding energy to molecules. No brains.
Kent, you are not answering the question.
You're not answering the question.
You're not answering how a closed system is getting more complex. How things inside a closed system are getting more complex. Where's the
don't
closed
believe
system
that.
in this case?
It's getting
The
worse.
whole universe, the
Yeah,
total
the whole
sun.
universe. We're getting more complex on Earth, but the sun is losing energy, though.
Yeah.
Bingo, you're getting it.
Okay, so it's not violating the second law.
What's
What
not?
part of it is violating the second law, though?
You mean you don't think evolution is violating the second law?
You still haven't proven how it does.
Well, I think I did point out that adding energy, which makes it an open system, but the energy is destructive without chlorophyll. You go out and lay in the sun will gradually kill you.
Ken, we are not talking about how it's going to use the energy. That's not what the second law is talking about. It's talking about how systems in a closed system don't get more complex.
So I guess I'm totally lost on what your point is. You think
My point,
evolution...
Kent, is let's say things are getting more complex on Earth. Let's say they are. But again, I'm still saying they're not, but let's just say they are.
You don't think... Okay, whales...
They're getting more complex because the sun is losing energy. It's giving energy to them. So the sun is winding down while it's helping something else become more complex. A good analogy would be like if you're going to build a house. You have bricks and mortar and all that. The house is not going to build itself. It's not going to get organized by itself.
Correct.
Instead, you have to hire people to build it. right?
You got it. You got it.
But no, hear me out first. The people expend energy when building the house. So the house itself is getting more organized, but the people are putting energy into it. So the house is getting more organized, but the people are giving away energy in order for that to happen. So if things are getting more organized on Earth, it's only because the sun is giving away energy to help that happen. Without the sun, nothing would get more organized on Earth. There would be no life on Earth.
I agree.
So again, how does evolution violate the second law of thermodynamics?
Okay, let's go to your analogy of a bunch of people building a house. They are losing energy while the house gains organization. Who is directing this energy from the sun to do something here on the planet to make things evolve?
We are not talking about who's directing it. We're just talking about the energy and where it's going.
Well, the energy...
You said things can't get organized without energy, and I agree. But we're not getting organized without energy. We're getting energy from the sun. We're not violating the second law.
You're completely missing it, Jerome. Put a bunch of 4-year-olds out there to build that house. They won't do it. They can't build the house. It takes directed, intelligent use of the energy, not just energy. Somehow in your religion, just adding energy helps. No, it doesn't. Adding energy has to be directed intelligently.
The intelligent part is not what we're talking about. It's the energy part. Do you agree that if you have brilliant architects looking at a house, but all of them are paralyzed from the neck down, that they still won't be able to build it?
Correct. Now you have
so the energy is what's needed. I understand intelligence is needed too, but
you need both.
That's not in the discussion, though. We're only talking about the second law. We're not talking about the intelligence part.
Well,
we're just talking about the energy part.
Both are required, though, Jerome, in order to build a house.
I understand, but the intelligence part is a different topic. Right now, we're sticking to this topic. How is evolution saying that things are forming without having energy added onto them?
No, evolutionists are saying things are forming without having intelligence added to them.
That does not violate the second law, Kent.
I'm holding up my slide right here in front so people can see. Evolution violates the second...
Kent, what is our topic right now? Do you even remember?
I don't think you know, or anybody knows who's listening either. But
the second law of thermodynamics,
right,
which talks about energy, it does not talk about intelligence.
Well,
the intelligence aspect is an entirely different discussion. Right now we're talking about the energy aspect.
Okay, I'll tell you
how are things getting more complex without having energy added to them?
They can't. They have to have energy and intelligence. That's my point.
Kent, we're not talking about intelligence. I'm asking, how are things getting more complex without having energy added to them?
They're not.
Exactly, so it doesn't violate the second law.
Yes,
you think whales came from soup?
Yes.
Kent,
you do.
You were diverting from the topic. Are you going to admit that you were mistaken about the second law of thermodynamics?
No, sir. Are you going to admit that you are mistaken about it?
You didn't prove it, though. You have to either prove that you were right or admit you were wrong.
No.
Right now, you're not doing either.
Where are you getting these false dichotomy all the time? You have to prove that just simply adding energy will create a whale from soup.
I didn't say that, and neither did the second law.
No, but your evolution
theory... The second law says in order for something to get organized, energy has to be added to it. Correct?
Intelligently
Well, so far, in evolution, energy has always been getting added to living organisms to get them more complicated.
Energy is just...
There's never been an exception.
Okay.
So where is this notion coming from that it violates the second law?
Jerome, let me assume you can drive a car. Is there a complex mechanism required to use the energy from the gasoline to make your car roll, or can you just pour the gas in the back seat and set it on fire?
Kent, do you know that listening to you talk is very painful?
Whoa, ditto. Welcome to my world. Hey, welcome to my world.
You're not. I can't hear you right now. I can't understand you.
I'm sure you can't. I believe you can't. I think you're willingly ignorant. Second Peter.
So hold on.
Okay.
You still didn't answer the question.
Okay.
How are things getting more complex without energy being added to them?
You're the one who believes things are more complex without intelligently directed energy.
Kent, we are not talking about intelligence. We are talking about energy. How are things getting more complex without energy being added to them?
I don't think they are. You're the one who believes they do.
Well, then it doesn't violate the second law, does it?
Yes.
Does it?
Evolution says things are getting more complex.
Does it violate the second law, yes or no?
Evolution completely violates the second law of thermodynamics.
How?
Because you teach and believe, it's a religious belief, you believe things are getting more complex just by adding energy from the sun.
hold on. To all the listeners, are you guys hearing this?
Yeah.
Can you guys actually hear? He's not actually answering the question.
I don't think
I'm asking about energy, and you keep bringing intelligence into this.
Energy is destructive.
And just adding energy is destructive. We added energy to Hiroshima and didn't organize anything for them over there. Adding energy will destroy things.
Kent, the second law does not mention intelligence. It only mentions energy.
Okay. So you think simply adding raw energy to a pond is going to create a whale over 4.6 billion years?
I did not say that.
That's what evolution says, and that's what the whole purpose of the debate is, to show how stupid evolution is.
No, see, you're jumping from topic to topic. I'm trying to stay on this topic until you actually answer the question, and you're not doing that.
I'm answering the question. Adding energy will not make anything more complex. It will destroy things.
Thank you.
It destroys everything.
That's not covered by the second law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics just says that things don't get more complex without energy being added to them. That's all it talks about. So we're only talking about the energy aspect of this. Tell me how anything gets more complex without having energy added to it, according to an evolutionist. And you still haven't done that. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm reading from the textbook used at Northern Michigan University, biology textbook. I can't read the name here, but I've got it on my shelf if you want to know. Anyway, it just simply says biology. Let's see. Evolution. I'm reading straight from the textbook. Evolution states the second law of thermodynamics, a jumble of soda cans. Oh, I'm sorry. They're covering supposed lies creationists teach, and this one is called Evolution Violates the Second Law of Thermodynamics, which is exactly what you're claiming is a lie. Here, and I quote, a jumble of soda cans doesn't by itself jump neatly into a stack. Things become more disorganized due to random events, not more organized. End quote. Then the book goes on to say, biologists point out that this argument ignores what the second law really says. Disorder increases in a closed system, which the Earth most certainly is not. Energy continually enters the biosphere from the sun, fueling life and all the processes that organize it. My point with all this is, that's the end of the reading from the textbook. My point is, this is a religious belief system on these people's part. They think adding energy in a closed system will somehow help things, and you have to have directed energy, not just energy. Why can't you get it?
Kent, does the second law of thermodynamics mention directing energy, not directing energy, but like intelligence directing energy at all?
The second law of thermodynamics just says every system tends toward disorder over time. Every system, unless you add energy and organize, like organizing the pile of cans.
You're adding energy to it. So what's the problem?
The problem is you're not adding energy by stacking up the cans. You're adding intelligently directed energy. I can add energy to a pile of cans and go in there and smash them and shoot them and blow them up with a hand grenade.
Okay, but Ken, you're saying that the part that doesn't make sense is the intelligence aspect, right?
I'm beginning to think that's what I'm dealing with here. Yes, sir.
Yes, but the second law does not talk about that. It only talks about the energy aspect.
Okay, well, I probably am going to continue.
If you want to discuss that separately, if you want to discuss the intelligence aspect separately, we can do that. But right now, we're only talking about the second law.
Okay, you're accusing me of lying about the second law.
Ken, I didn't. Okay.
Let me tell you.
I apologize. I didn't mean lie. Maybe you were just mistaken.
Neither
you could have
is
just
correct.
been mistaken.
No,
okay, if you're saying you're not mistaken, then prove it.
I'm not mistaken, and I'm not lying. And here's exactly what I say every time I do my seminar on this topic. I've said it 1,000 times. Here, I'm reading right from my slide. Evolutionists assume that adding energy, quote, or paragraph, parentheses, open system, will overcome the second law of thermodynamics. Number one, the universe is a closed system. Number two, adding energy is destructive without a complex mechanism to harness the energy. You have a complex mechanism to harness the energy in gasoline to make your car run. Putting 20 gallons in the back seat and setting it on fire will not help you drive to Chicago. Adding energy from the sun is going to destroy everything on Earth, unless there's a complex mechanism to utilize and harness that energy.
Okay, but how that mechanism got here is an entirely different discussion.
But you're the one who believes...
Like I said, I'm not talking about abiogenesis, though.
But you're the one who believes just adding energy is going to help. You can add energy to add the sun's energy to a
I didn't say just adding energy would help. I said that everything needs energy to get more organized.
I agree with that.
That's all the second law is saying. It says it needs energy.
Oh,
it never
doesn't.
said that it only
That is not
that it
all.
happens by itself.
If they taught you that's all the second law is about, then you need to get your money back for education.
Okay, then why don't you educate me? Why don't you tell me?
You have to have
What part of
energy.
it am I missing?
You're missing the fact that the energy has a mechanism to harness it and use it. That's what all drivetrains on cars are.
Yes.
That's what all jet
yes,
engines
and it does. The evolution does. It has, like you said, it has chlorophyll.
So where'd the
Okay.
chlorophyll come from?
It came from the first living cell. But again, I don't know about abiogenesis. I don't know how the cell got there. Maybe
Yeah, you
God
don't want
put
to
it
get into
there.
that. All right, what's your lie number 5?
So wait, are you admitting that
No,
you're mistaken?
I'm waiting for you to admit that you're mistaken.
I'm not mistaken, Ken.
Okay, so you're thinking
not.
there are 2 choices. A, I lied. B, I'm mistaken. There's a third choice. You
No.
lied. And fourth choice, you're mistaken.
Those are not my 2 choices.
Yes,
I said the first choice is that you're either lying or mistaken. Second choice is you prove that you're not lying or mistaken, and you haven't done either.
I think
Instead, you're just trying to skip to the next question and completely ignore this.
I think I've demonstrated to anybody of reasonable intelligence that evolution violates the second law in that it assumes
does not.
It does. It assumes adding energy is going to fix it, and it has to be direct.
It does not assume that, Kent. It does not assume that.
Okay.
Chlorophyll, it's like you said, chlorophyll uses the energy. Now, how the chlorophyll got there, how the first cell got there, that's still an open discussion because we don't know. Like abiogenesis hasn't been proven, but I'm not here to talk about that though. I'm only here to talk about macro and microevolution.
Well, maybe this
and
is
nothing in micro and macroevolution violates the second law of thermodynamics.
Okay.
Nothing.
I disagree. I think everything about it.
So do you agree you were wrong?
No, I agree you are wrong, and evolution does.
But you haven't proven that you're right though.
Here we go again. I think maybe it's a proverb ties in right here, but okay. So I think you are wrong. I think I've demonstrated that adding energy will be destructive to everything unless there's a mechanism to use that energy. Adding energy to
I know,
build a
Kent,
house.
and evolution says there is a mechanism. So what's the problem?
Well, what if chlorophyll wasn't there? Would sun's energy destroy things on Earth or build things on
It
Earth?
probably would, but evolutionists aren't saying that it would form no matter what. Evolutionists are saying the chlorophyll is there, it's forming because of the chlorophyll, so what part of evolution, again, macro and micro, not abiogenesis, what part of macro and microevolution goes against the second law of thermodynamics?
Well, there's a whole bunch more than just chlorophyll, Jerome. You have to have a whole system.
I agree, and evolutionists know that. But they're not denying that stuff is there, though.
Well, but see, plants, it's more than just chlorophyll. Now you got to have a vascular system to transport this stuff around, and a stomata to open and close the leaf cells, and hormones to turn the leaf toward the sun.
Yes, and
You know
how
anything
those
about
things
plants?
formed is an entirely different discussion. But it does not violate the second law of thermodynamics.
So you think evolution, I guess by that you mean the changing of one animal into another, one variety of animal into another. You think whales that came from amoeba, because the second law of thermodynamics won't affect that.
I'm saying that does not violate the second law of thermodynamics.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to believe that.
You know what, Kevin? Kent.
Sure.
If you're not going to admit you're wrong, I guess that there's no point. We'll just move on to the next one.
There you go.
Well, I think, and if you're not going to admit you're wrong, you're right.
I'm not wrong, Kent. I'm not wrong.
I'm not wrong either, so go ahead. Move on to the next one.
Okay, whatever. Okay, lie number 5, vestigial organs. You keep saying how a whale's pelvic bone and a person's tailbone aren't vestigial because they have uses. I looked up the word vestigiality in Wikipedia. Here, let me look it up real quick to pull it up here. Here, vestigiality is the retention during the process of evolution of genetically determined structures or attributes that have lost some or all of their ancestral function in a given species. Some being the key word in that sentence. What does that mean? It means that just because something is vestigial, it does not mean that it's completely useless. A lot of the time, and I would even venture to say most of the time, that vestigial organ has 1 or 2 uses left. And that actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it. That explains why the body didn't get rid of it completely. Because the body, if you think about it, is like an economic system. In an economy, everything costs money. Or in the case of a body, energy. If an organ becomes completely useless, then why would the body expend energy on it when it could reallocate that energy to things that actually contribute to its survival? So if the whale's pelvic bone has actually 1 use left, which is in reproduction, that actually makes a lot of sense. That actually makes a lot of sense why you didn't get rid of it completely.
Well, this clearly demonstrates that evolution is a religion, because this is something you believe. All we observe is whales have these bones in their abdomen that they use for reproduction. You're breathing into the phone again.
Sorry.
Evolutionists believe that these bones in the whale abdomen, which are used for reproduction, probably as often as allowed, and you believe, capital B, believe that it used to have some other functions. That's not science.
Now,
That's
Ken,
a belief system.
Ken, I knew you were going to say this, but yeah, you're right. For now, we don't know.
Oh, very good.
But
Very good.
I would like you to at least be honest about the definition of vestigial, so that your listeners, especially young children, will have their own choice on whether or not they believe it's vestigial, and that choice will be based on the actual definition of vestigial instead of the one you made up.
Well, so your definition that you're reading that somebody made up of vestigial is that it used to have a bunch of uses, but now it only has one.
That is not made up. The one you said is made up.
Here we go. I found it.
Saying
Okay.
that vestigial means it's completely useless is made up. And if you're going to read it off a dictionary, that's probably not the most,
I'm reading it right
probably
from
the most thorough.
Okay, Alt BV 87. Hang on here. Here is the American Heritage Science Dictionary. Vestigial, relating to a body part that has become small and lost its use because of evolutionary change. You're making noise
Ken,
in the
we've been
phone
through.
again.
Ken,
Yes.
Ken,
I'm reading right from the dictionary.
not all definitions are completely thorough, though.
So we have to have yours.
Sometimes they have abridged versions of definitions.
Okay. Well, let me finish reading it here. We got plenty of time. Whales, for example, have small bones located in the muscles of their body walls that are vestigial bones of hips and hind legs. Then they show a picture from Biology, Curtis and Barnes, a college biology book, that shows a picture of a whale skeleton. I'm showing it on screen here. It says many organisms retain examples or traces of their evolutionary history. For example, the whale retains pelvic and leg bones as useless vestiges. Well, they're claiming they're useless. Let's see, let me get to, here's a National Center for Science Education, shows how the cow evolved into the whale. And
Okay, Ken, can I talk now?
well, let me finish answering the
Okay,
question.
go ahead.
Okay. Here's a Holt biology textbook. Modern whales have hind limbs which have been reduced to only a few tiny internal hind limb bones that have no function. They are mistaken. They do have a function. Here's Eyes on Nature. That
Can I
says,
talk now? You made your point. Can I talk now?
my point is, we don't know that these were ever hip bones or leg bones for anything. All we know is they use them for reproduction. That's end of story. Why do you believe in your religion that they used to walk with these little tiny bones in there?
Ken, you're grasping at straws. The scientists said they're completely useless. Maybe they should have done more research. Maybe they should have realized it still has one or two uses left.
Right.
That does not, however, take away the original idea, which is that they're vestigial, which is that they had other uses before that they don't have anymore.
How do you know they had other uses before?
Ken, we've been through this.
No,
you're right about that part. We don't know, but at least be honest about what vestigial means.
Okay, yeah,
It
vestigial.
does not mean completely useless.
Right. Well, I read
So you agree? It doesn't mean completely useless.
Well, most dictionaries say it does, and I think they're wrong about that. So you guys may want to
but
get
do
your
you
ducks in
agree
a row.
that vestigial means that it could have one or two uses left?
Okay,
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I would agree that
Yes or no, Kent? Yes or no?
I don't think there's any such thing as a vestigial organ.
Kent, I'm asking you, yes or no, do you believe that vestigial encompasses things that have one or two uses left?
I think there are some dictionaries and websites.
Kent, I'm not asking what the dictionaries say. I'm asking if you agree with that. Do you agree that vestigial encompasses things that lost some of their function but still have some left? Yes or no?
Some science books define it that way, in which case I think they all have some function. Now they assume that it had more functions in the past, but that's not
Ken,
science.
right now I'm only asking you if you agree with that definition. Do you agree that vestigial includes things that have one or two functions left after having lost some of the others?
I believe there are people who think that is true. I don't believe that's true. No.
You don't believe that vestigial means that?
I don't think the whale's pelvic bones ever had any
That's
other
not what I'm
uses.
asking you right now, Ken. I'm asking you the definition. Do you agree with that definition? Do you agree that that's a definition of vestigial?
I agree that you read that definition of vestigial from somebody's
Do you
book
agree that the
somewhere.
definition is true, Kent? That's what I'm asking you.
No, I don't know that I could say it's true or not. I'd like to see that in writing and analyze
So you
that
disagree? You disagree?
Well, I said I'd like to see
You'd
it
like to see it
analyzed.
in writing? Look it up on Wikipedia. That's where I found it.
I just sent you, I read you some definitions of, I'm telling you, you guys don't
Okay,
have your
but the
ducks in a
one
row.
from Wikipedia says that includes things that have one or two uses left.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
agree that that's an acceptable definition of the word?
Well, I think they have to say that now because they're realizing they do have uses left. Now they're assuming that
Kent, they've always been saying that. They've always been saying that.
I can show you from the dictionary they've not always been saying that. Here's a whole biology book
And
saying they have no
dictionaries
function.
give abridged definitions of words. They're not always thorough. The person writing the dictionary didn't know that someone like you would be bringing up this argument. They didn't think that it was really worth mentioning that they had one or two uses left.
Okay, Glencoe biology.
The main idea is that they lost at least most of their uses.
Okay, now would you agree, Jerome, that by you believe they have lost some uses, but they still retain a few uses? Do you agree that that is a belief on your part? You don't know of any other uses they had. You
Depends on
believe.
how you define belief. It's not a religious belief.
Okay, do you know for sure that whales' hip bones had any other uses? Do you know this for sure?
I don't know for sure, Kent. I
Yeah.
never did.
Good.
I never said I knew for sure.
Well, then help me get this out of the textbook because they're teaching they used to be legs.
No,
They don't
that's
know
not
that.
up to me. I don't work for the school system.
Okay. Well, I'm sure I got pictures of the books right in front of me. It says the whale's pelvic bones have no purpose.
Kent, again,
That's the
the
textbook.
main idea is that they lost their other purposes from when they were a land mammal. That's the main idea. That's what they were focused on.
That's the main
They
religion.
didn't care if it had one or two uses left. They didn't know that it would be used in a debate against you.
Yeah, they
That's
never.
just a detail.
They should
It's
have.
just a detail, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't take away from the original idea.
They should have taken me into consideration. I agree. So
I agree, Ken. Yeah, everything is about you.
I know. Yay, you're getting it. Okay. So
So you agree everything's about you?
no, here we go again. It's a joke. It's a joke. Okay. No, I don't. Jerome, the books do teach the bones serve no purpose. If you're going to correct them and say they used to have other purposes, but they only have one purpose now, reproduction. Would you?
Okay, if they did that, then you would have no problem with it?
Oh, hang
If
on.
they modified the books to say that, you would have no problem with it?
I would still have a problem with it. Jerome, would you agree that this example of, say, the whale's pelvic leg bone and stuff like that is an example of losing? All the vestigial structures are losing a function, not gaining.
Yes.
Oh, good. You agree. Yay. All right, Jerome, it's been an hour. Get your next 5 together, and let's do this again later. I got people waiting on me outside.
What do you mean later?
I don't know, in the
This
next
is
week.
the only time and spot that
In the next week or two, you contact Rhonda, and she'll schedule a time.
Ken, do you honestly see the point in debating you a third time? Because from the first two debates, all you've ever done was run around my questions. I don't really see the point in doing this a third time. This is just too painful.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. I think it's painful for a lot of people. You're the one who's not seeing it. Do you agree?
Oh, really?
Do you agree that you're wrong about evolution or that you're mistaken? Which is it? Are you wrong or are you mistaken?
I am not wrong, and I didn't say evolution was definitely true. As I said in the first debate, the purpose of this debate and the last one is to be critical of the things that you're claiming.
Okay, I answered all 5. Get 5 more. And
You
let's do-
actually didn't.
Can
You
I
actually
say-
didn't, but
I
I know
wanna
you
say
never
one
will, so
thing.
there's
I
no point in wasting more time.
I found on Wikipedia right here, religion. Define religion as a comprehensive worldview or metaphysical moral vision that is accepted
Metaphysical.
and
What part of
binding.
evolution is metaphysical?
It is to be in itself basically true and just even if all dimensions, or it cannot
Nick,
be
is
either
it- is this
fully
Nick I'm
confirmed or
talking to?
refuted.
This is Nick. Hang on, we're out of
Yes.
time. Let's set this up
What part
properly.
of it is metaphysical? You didn't answer that.
Let's do this next time on is evolution a religion? I think I could demonstrate it is, depending on what you mean.
Ken, if you can give me a reason why I should ever do this again, that if you actually answer any of my questions.
Jerome,
Okay, maybe you answered some of them today,
Okay.
but there are at least 2 that you did not answer. You blatantly lied and just ran around in circles around them. You did not answer
Here
them.
you are accusing me of lying
You did not.
again.
You did not
Jerome,
answer them, and you
that's
didn't
not
answer my
nice.
question from the last debate either. So
Okay.
I don't know if you can. Hey, here I have a challenge for you. If you can get one of your listeners to call in and tell them why you answered my question. Tell them, like, my claim is that you didn't answer my question about kinds in the last debate,
Well,
and you didn't answer the fourth and the fifth question. Sorry, you did answer the fifth, but not the fourth, and you didn't answer the first. If you can have a listener call in and give a compelling argument to why you actually did answer that question from the first debate and the two from this debate,
okay.
if they can give a compelling answer, then I'll give you a third debate.
Well,
if not, then I won't. And
Well,
my prediction is nobody will call.
All right, let's have a Nick. We can set it up where
Yeah.
people can post in the comment section what they think about the five.
No,
different supposed
not
to be-
comment section. I want them to call in and talk to me personally.
Oh, you
We
want
can,
Well,
we can discuss it for 10 minutes.
Are you okay with us giving your phone number then?
Jerome? You give your phone number. What's your phone number, Jerome?
No, hold on a second.
Oh, you said you wanted to
Can we
call
have
you.
a three-way line? Is that possible?
I don't want to sit around or being your secretary all day answering phone calls for you. I take calls. I'm not embarrassed to give out
Wait, so
my
they're
number.
going to call me personally and
I
tell
can
me?
arrange it to email me, and then I can contact you. Does that work?
I would prefer they called me directly.
Well, then
and told
give your
me.
phone number. I'll give you my phone number directly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'll
You
give my
can give
email.
them my phone
if-
number, Kent, but I'm not going to make it public on this video.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'll get to email. I'll have them email
Yeah.
me. I'll forward it to you, and then you can decide to change numbers with them.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, so
perfect.
Nick,
Yeah.
what is your email is Nicholas J.
No, it's video support at drdino.com.
video support at drdino.com. Okay, we'll have the listeners do that, and if you want to debate again, fine. And when you're ready to admit you're wrong, we'll accept
I'm
it.
not wrong. Okay.
Okay, and I do this with you, Jerome, because God loves you and He wants you in His family.
Kent, I'm already a Christian. I don't need to hear this.
I don't believe that for 1 second, but okay.
Well, you can believe whatever you want, and clearly you do, even if the facts contradict it. So
Wow.
there's
Okay.
really no point in discussing it.
All right. Well, it's been a joy talking to you. A little challenge once in a while, but thank you so much for doing this. And if you get some other people who believe in evolution who'd like to have a debate, I'm always open. I think I stay friendly and kind.
I'll try to find some.
Please do. All right, folks, thank you for joining us. Jerome does not want to give his number, but you can email video support at drdino.com, and he will get a hold of Jerome, and Jerome will get a hold of you, maybe. And if you think I answered the questions, the 5 supposed lies, let me know if I didn't answer them. I tried to be thorough. So
Remember,
okay.
that's line number 1 and line number 4 that I'm talking
Okay.
about.
Okay.
Plus
Restate them.
the one about kinds from the last debate.
We'll work on that. Now, I noticed the microphone fell down on the floor during part of this. I stuck it back up. You think it'll be okay?
Yeah, I can fix it.
He can fix it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Jerome, thank you so much. We'll see you Judgment Day and find out who's right, okay?
All right.
All right.
See
Thank
ya.
you. Thank you.